Hi, in this week's video we're going to be doing a straight to the point range test in the Volkswagen ID.3. To be precise, the 58 kilowatt Pro Performance version. This car has a combined WLTP range of 263 miles, so pretty impressive. And if we convert 263 miles of range divided by 58 kilowatts of battery to give us like an MPG type equivalent, then as long as I can manage 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour of energy, we'll do that no problem. You can see that the car is fully charged to 100% and it's showing a range of 204 miles. And that figure is based on my most recent driving. I've been driving this car for about 600 miles now. So I'm going to see my dad who lives in London. I'm in South Lincolnshire, he's in West London. So it's about 95 miles to get there and 95 miles to get back. So that's 190 miles. And if this figure is correct, all should be good. But we'll see. It's winter, but it's quite warm. It's 12 degrees. It's not raining. There's not much wind around, and it's just going to be me in the car. So I should expect the car to do pretty good. I would say that 2/3 of the journey will be on at motorway speeds, and about a third will be at London speed, so maybe 20 miles an hour. And I'll be driving as I would normally drive, air conditioning on, and on the dual carriageways, I'll be at the speed limit. So unless my middle-aged bladder has other ideas, who knows? I'll see you in London. I've arrived, I'm in London. There wasn't a driving montage, was there, with some really bad quality, non-copyrighted music. If you'd like to see those, let me know and I'll put them in the future. It's been an interesting journey, so it was quite straightforward. It took 2.5 hours, so it was a long one today. I was using Google Maps to take me here on the fastest route. And I hadn't considered this, the fastest route is actually longer. So although it was quicker than if I'd have gone my normal route, which is 95 miles, I've actually done 105 miles, which wouldn't be a thing in a petrol car, would it? You wouldn't even think about it. But because I'm thinking about range here, it is a thing. Let's look at the stats. Oh, before we look at the stats, I've done a full review on this car, and if you haven't seen it, go to my ID.3 playlist. But it's been a joy to drive. So it handles these London roads, which I hate driving on. It's like the Wild West. You have to have like 6th sense to drive around here. It's an absolute nightmare. It handles them beautifully. The driving position is nice and high. The car's, although it feels spacious in here, it's bigger than a Passat inside, but smaller than a Golf, smaller footprint than a Golf. It's just perfect for London. On the motorways, it was just beautiful. I'm in between cars, so I've just sold my Tesla Model S and I'm driving this until my new Tesla arrives. And the Tesla Model S is a real mile eater. And mine was on 21-inch wheels, which I wouldn't recommend. But this was, I'm loath to say better. So I'm going to say it was better. It was actually a much more comfortable journey in this coming down the A1 at 70 miles an hour than in my Tesla Model S on those 21-inch wheels. And if you are buying an EV and you like big wheels, you may need to reconsider, or you may want to reconsider. The reason being is these are heavy cars, and on big wheels you feel the bumps more. Since I charged the car, we've done 105 miles, more than anticipated. 43 miles an hour was our average. That was looking really good until we got to London. 228. And we've had 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. And the car is saying we've got 126 miles left. If we're getting 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour and we times that by 58, that gives us a range of street maths, Steve. 214 miles. I checked before I started filming. So that gives us a range of 214 miles. We've done 105. So, I feel quite confident we're going to get back without having to charge. The car's saying we've got 126 miles of range left. And if we go the same route, it's only 105. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to see my dad and I will see you tomorrow morning when I set off. Good morning. No time has passed for you, I know, but it's the next day for me. It's many hours later. So I'm just about to head back. It should be 95 miles back, providing I go the way I normally go. Let's see if I get rerouted again. The car is now saying that it's only got 116 miles of range. One thing I can't find on this car is how to switch from miles to battery percentage, because I feel like I've got about half the battery left, which is kind of fine. But if I had, say, 55% of the battery left and I knew that I was halfway through my journey, that's fine. I can kind of guess that I'll get back with a certain percentage, maybe 10%. Because it's miles and they do go up and down a bit, it does feel a little bit more vague, but we'll see. Anyway, see you when I get home. I should have 20 miles to spare at the moment, but who knows? Well, things have just got real. So I'm 30 miles into my journey. So I've got 63 miles left to go. The car's telling me, and I can't show this because I'm driving, but I've got 63 miles to go. The car is telling me it's got 68 miles of range, which is not a place I would like to be, really. So I might have to charge, but we'll see. And I think I know why this has happened. And this is one of the reasons why I like percentage on batteries and not miles. The weather's the same, it's 12 degrees, it's 11 degrees today. It's very similar weather. The roads are damp, which might add a bit of resistance maybe, I don't know. My last bit of driving was in London. So when the car predicted my range this morning, it was based on probably the last 30 miles of driving. And that was all in London at much lower speeds. So my first 30 miles of driving out of London, which was at lower speeds again, is very different to my last 60 miles, which is at higher speeds, which I think is a problem. So we're now down, just talking now, we're down to 63 miles left to go, 66 miles of range. We'll see, I'll update you, want to know more. Okay, so we're a bit further on. Range hit parity at one point. It was a long stretch of a 70 mile an hour road, all uphill. And we had 60 miles left and 60 miles of range. So I was starting to think we might need to charge at that point. But I knew that there were some 50 and 60 mile an hour zones coming up, and we would be on more flatter roads. So that's kind of helped things. Currently, we've got 40 miles of range left. The battery is orange and I'm getting regular warnings to charge the car. So 40 miles of range and 36 miles to go. So we're still good. One thing I want to talk about is range anxiety and how it's a myth. And stay with me on this one, because I would say it's not range anxiety, it's actually charging anxiety. I know that this car may or may not need charging on the way home, and because I'm near my house, I've got a good idea within 30 miles of my house which chargers I'm going to use, which ones are reliable, and which ones are going to give me a good speed. Now, one thing about driving on your own is you can't just pull up ZapMap and look for the nearest charger. The car will do a bit of a job, but I don't really like this software. So if you're coming home and your range is getting low, quite often you'll just know where the chargers are. If I was going the other way to London and I was getting low on charge, that would be a different story. I'd have more charger anxiety there than I would coming home. So nearly home. Now the battery is showing percentage. Now hopefully it does this when I stop. So on one side of the battery it's showing 20 miles of range. We've got 18 miles left to go. On the other side of the battery it's showing 9% of the battery is left. If it's possible, I really would like to know if you can put percentage up all the time, because for me and many drivers it's a much better metric for measuring how long you've got left than the miles. 18 miles left, 19 miles of range. It's going to be close. As you can see, I'm home, I'm on the drive, and we're back. Let's look at the stats. It was close. So since I last charged the car, we've travelled 198 miles, an average of 44 miles an hour, 4 hours 32, and we've had 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. My reckoning, 58 kilowatt hour battery times 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour gives us 203 miles of range. We've pulled onto the drive, we've got, there's the percentage thing I was talking about. So that didn't appear to be at 10%. We've got 1% of the battery left and 0 miles of range. That is as close as I get. Because as much, oh, we've got another warning, hang on. Now don't worry, I'm just about to put the car on charge. But as well as a couple of tortoise warnings and offers to take me to a charger, I've also had this warning as well, charge vehicle now, otherwise the battery may be damaged. And as I was saying, actually let me go and put the car on charge. Right, we're charging. I love this little display in here, but look, it's red, it's not happy. Where was I? As much as I feel like we've bonded on this trip, it's only me that was going to get on the flatbed of shame if this went wrong. So 0 miles is not where I would normally go in a car. It's only because, I mean, I've had 40,000 miles in EV driving now. I kind of know the car well enough to know that it was going to be all right. I felt like it was going to be all right, and it was. If you're new to EVs, specifically an ID.3 and thinking about getting the 58 kilowatt hour version, then I think this range test shows that 200 miles is really a good indication of what you're going to get in spring and in autumn. You'll get a little bit more in the summer. So in t-shirt weather, I would say you might get 10% more. In the depths of winter, I'm talking snow on the ground, and minus 0 conditions, you're probably looking at about 10% less. Well, that's that. I'm going to go and say hello to the family. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, you can just subscribe down below as well. See you next time.